Frances Berry was appointed to the ACC Board of Education for District 2 to replace outgoing member Vernon Payne. She brings a wealth of volunteering experience and a PhD in counselor education to the school board. Our new police chief answered questions at a public forum hosted by the Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement, and I'll dig into this in more detail after the highlights. Moving on to the mayor and commission. The commission received the final report and recommendations from the Athens team of the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing.
It really shows that urgency for the rental market.
What I'd like to do is assign a package of work to planning that includes the specific inclusionary incentives that we could offer around density bonuses, around uses of an affordable housing fund.
Tiny homes has come up a lot, but in general, prefabbed homes, not wanting us to have like a bunch of trailer parks, but there is definitely a lot of nice quality prefabbed homes that can be available. I know there's some limitations on that even, I think, here in Athens, right?
Before a certain year, they're prohibited. But
I think that's probably part of what we could look at as a package too.
They heard preliminary plans for the Firefly Trail extension past the loop and out towards Winterville.
And after the approval of these, we'll continue to work on and get it under construction.
They also heard a recommendation for a new public art project along Clayton Street to be created by an artist from Austin, Texas.
So Eric Lashinsky has a plan called the Clayton Connector. It's all about creating space and engaging the streetscape.
There's some disgruntledness in the art community that these big projects are going to out-of-town artists. And I hope that there's some other opportunities where perhaps we can have pieces that are actually created by locals.
They discussed an amendment to increase the budget for the landfill and how we could be reducing waste here in Athens.
We don't like spending money on landfill. And don't forget our Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, the CHARM, on College Avenue, where you can take television sets and styrofoam and just a lot of things that are going to end up in the landfill.
So I do hope that we can seriously have a discussion about what we can do to reduce the use of styrofoam in this community.
The number one expense on our stormwater system is single-use plastic bags. Single-use plastic bags are a tremendous drain on taxpayer resources.
Our last police chief, Scott Freeman, resigned last year under less than ideal circumstances. He was facing a revolt from his rank-and-file police officers. The department was having difficulty retaining officers, and some of them were even refusing to leave their police cars after the firing of Taylor Salters. Officer Salters was fired unfairly, in their opinion, after a non-incident of totally normal police activity. The man on the ground, Timmy Patman, was suspected of missing a probation hearing stemming from when he was falsely accused of stealing $25. Now we have a new chief of police, Cleveland Spruill. He just started this month, but he's been hitting the ground running with a public relations campaign, including a barbershop tour and a number of community forums. The Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement held a public forum together with Chief Spruill last Thursday at the library. One of the questions from the audience seemed to reference Salter's firing.
I'd like to hear about a time where you, in your leadership position, had to deal with someone who did make an inappropriate, discriminatory decision. How did you handle the person who used inappropriate force?
I don't tolerate that. And when it comes to my attention, I will deal with it decisively. So I've fired people all the way up to the rank of lieutenant. When I find people who violate policies, first off, officers are human beings like everybody else. And if they have an automobile accident or have some kind of low-level minor infraction, then they don't deserve to be fired. Yeah. Okay? They deserve to have a second chance. I'm going to treat my officers like human beings, that I'm going to understand that they're going to make mistakes. If I tell my officers, I'm going to fire you, or you're going to expect heavy discipline every time you make any little minor mistake, they're not going to do anything. They're going to be afraid to go out and do anything, right? But I'm not afraid to give discipline out, and I'm not afraid to fire a person. I'm not hacking people off at the knees every time they come into my office.
Generally, the crowd in attendance seemed satisfied with most of Chief Spruill's answers, but there was another question that caused some contention. Spruill was asked if he would consider providing more discretion for officers so they could avoid arresting those caught driving without driver's licenses, specifically referencing undocumented residents.
We really live in this state of situation where driving without driver's license is a part of deportation. My only question is if you are willing to stop arresting people who drive without driver's license.
So I've been in Georgia all of 3 weeks. So I have to understand what the law requires that we do. And so what I would say is that I'm going to require my officers to follow the law.
It was illegal for a black person to ride in the front of the bus. Now I'm saying the driver's license, the way it was constructed, it was built to disenfranchise people of color. If you heard the rhetoric we heard from the Trump administration portraying a group of people as a criminal just because their immigration status, it takes more than to respect the law. Martin Luther King said that we have the obligation to resist unjust law.
I, as a law enforcement officer, am sworn to uphold the law.
If you have the backup of the community, your community, and the legislation in Athens, would you support us?
Okay, again, if it's the law is the law and we're sworn to uphold that law. Now I'd have to make a decision whether I wanted to stay and continue to enforce that or whether I wanted to get out of law enforcement.
I certainly don't envy the difficult job Chief Spruill faces in trying to build a bridge between the community and our police department. It's unclear if he'll be able to bring stability to his department while at the same time upholding Athens' progressive values and desire for criminal justice reform. We'll all have to wait and see.
I'm not one of these folks that you're going to see that's going to come and start talking about, let's fight the war on drugs. The fight we've been fighting for 25 years now, how effective have we really been doing it the way we're doing it? I believe that drug addiction is a national health crisis, not a criminal issue.